Hey everyone, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with the 13th week of my wonderful coronavirus unemployment saga. So let's just dive right into this. As always, I'm going to start with the procedurals. Procedurals. This week, something major did happen. The good news is I actually got my unemployment money. Yay! Um, I called on Monday because on Monday I hadn't yet to receive my money and any indication that I was getting my money, whatever. So when I called, the person I reached was extremely difficult to understand because we had an extremely bad phone connection, very difficult to communicate. But I was able to communicate with her enough, and basically she just said, "Hey, just wait another week," right? And I was like, "Whatever." So Thursday rolled around, and I actually got the notification that my unemployment was approved, and I would, get the money and everything. So fine. I looked at that notification in a bit more detail, and I noticed a few discrepancies. One is when you are approved for unemployment, you're generally approved for 26 weeks or 6 months. In my case, I was only approved for 23 weeks. So I thought that was a little strange. And I looked at the dollar amount, and I basically will be getting $100 less per week than I was getting before. So I thought that was a little odd as well. So I decide at that point, I'm going to call them, and I reached out to unemployment on Thursday, and I was actually able to completely understand the person on the other end. I explained my situation to him, tried to find out what was going on, and I was told that there are many, many, many reasons that can cause the discrepancy, but he wasn't able to tell me specifically what it was. But you know what he did for me? He submitted a form to have those assholes contact me within 5 to 10 business days. I believe it's just as likely that I'm going to win the lottery or be struck by lightning in the next hour as I am to hear from unemployment and actually get the real information. Because, this whole time I've also been trying to get my taxes correct, as in have Indiana state taxes taken out as well, and that hasn't happened for the, nearly 3 months I've been doing this. So I have a feeling that yeah, we're not gonna make any progress on that. Just a feeling I have. So whatever. And I'm going to deal with the repercussions of taxation next year with my Indiana state taxes. So I'm really looking forward to 2021. So there's that. Um, but thankfully, at least I am getting the money, and that does relieve me of a lot of anxiety that I had. And I did not actually have to go into my savings account and take any money out of that. So, all very positive developments, right? So, there's that. Now, let's talk about, job hunting this week. Well, um, you remember how before I was worried about the possibility of having two good job offers, the hospital and the bank? Well, that is no longer going to be a problem. On Monday, I got the "we selected another candidate" email from the hospital. So the hospital is dead as a doornail. That's not going to happen. But you never know. I may apply it again there in the future. So whatever. I don't really feel particularly bitter about it, nor particularly surprised because, like I said, I didn't feel that the interview went incredibly well. I think it went all right. But so It is what it is. I'm not like extremely upset about it. I think they actually did take the time to review me and all that, so there's no real bitterness there. Um, so that died on Tuesday. The drug company one died, and on Wednesday, another one died for like a nursing home. Reason I never spoke about the nursing home one is I had not gotten very far in the process with that at all. So I had three fail, and I had As far as new leads go, um, I had a couple of managed service providers or MSPs show interest in me. And I have very mixed emotions on that. I'm glad that there are places showing interest in me. However, I worked for an MSP once. Actually, the last time I was, well, 2 times ago that I was unemployed, I had to take a job at an MSP, and it was absolutely one of the worst jobs of my entire life. Now, I'm not saying all MSPs are like that or bad, because I don't really know all of the details of these positions yet, so I don't want to prematurely judge them, but it certainly didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. So we'll see how those turn out, if they go anywhere at all. Now, I, of course, am going to talk about the job that I really, really, quote, care about. And that, of course, is the job with the bank. On Tuesday, I had my fourth interview. And I did not get a job offer because clearly, if I had, I would have, like, led with that. Um, but the interview went pretty well, I would say. When I was speaking to the gentleman, we seemed to have a pretty good connection. We had a good interview. Went really well, I think. And as I was speaking to him, basically towards the end, he said to me a few things that I really liked. He said, that I'm definitely on the short list as far as candidates they're considering. And if I were to get a job offer, to, kind of let them know, because that would, perhaps speed things along. So obviously, they are very interested in me, which is fantastic because, I've really been doing a lot of thinking about this job. And it is the job that I've interviewed for that, it is the job that I literally have wanted the most my entire life. I'm almost 42 years old. I've been working since I was 14, you know. But we'll say I've been in information technology for 15 years. And this is the job I've wanted the most in my entire life. So basically, I am either on the precipice of my greatest professional failure of my entire life up to this point. I'm sorry, fail. Jeez, that is the wrong word to use. I'm sorry. I'm either on the precipice of the biggest disappointment of my entire professional life up to this point. And the reason I use the word disappointment instead of erroneously, like I said, failure before, is if this doesn't happen, I am going to consider it a gigantic, and let's face it, kind of soul-crushing disappointment, because to me, a failure is something that you cause in one way or another, right? So, for example, it's an example of something I could do that would be a failure. Okay, let's say I go to a store and I have $100 with me, and I'm supposed to go in there and I only spend $50, right? But I spend $75 instead because I saw, oh, this cool stuff that I have to have that, So if I walk out of there with the stuff and less money than I thought I was going to walk out with, that is a failure on my part because, I spent more money than I should have or wanted to or budgeted for or whatever. And it's something I caused and something I did, and I did not achieve a goal, right? So we'll call that a failure, right? Whereas this would be a disappointment because if this doesn't work out, I will know that I did everything possible that I could to secure this position. I put an intense amount of effort into doing well in these interviews. Did lots of prep work. I did as much as I could to try to really excel at this. I really put 100% into it. So if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, I will know it's not because I did not do something to try to make it work. I did everything I could possibly do to make it work. So there's that. So like I said, I'm either on the precipice of my greatest professional disappointment ever, or I could possibly be looking at the greatest professional victory of my entire career up to this point. So, hey, not a big deal either way, right? Yeah, so that's how I see it, right? It's literally just as simple as that. So there's that. Um, I was thinking I may have heard something by Friday of this previous week, but I didn't. And I think that's okay because typically in my experience, what I've learned is if you hear back quickly from these places, especially with something that is so like a job that has this many interview rounds and is complicated and they're taking a long, if you hear back early, typically you're like the loser candidate, as in you're going to get the, you know, sorry, we're going with another candidate, as evidenced by me getting an email on Monday, very early in the week, from the hospital about how I was one of the loser candidates, right? So I'm kind of glad that I haven't heard from. I mean, obviously, a job offer would have been fantastic, but I'd prefer this over the obviously quick turnaround and sorry, another candidate thing, right? So maybe it's good I haven't heard anything. I don't know. Um, Now, some of you might be saying, well, geez, why is it taking them so long to make a decision? Why are you putting up with it? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I actually dug into this a little bit. And a coworker friend of mine, well, former coworker friend of mine, works at this bank. We worked together at a different organization, and he now works at this bank. And he told me that after he interviewed, it took a month for him to get a job offer. And he had like an inside hot source for this job. So it's not shocking. And I also read up about this bank, interviews and all that on Glassdoor. And this seems to be fairly common at this institution. So I'm not surprised that this is happening. It is what it is. I'm fairly confident I will hear a decision by the end of next week. What I plan on doing is, if I hear nothing from them, I plan on reaching out to them on Thursday. And the reason I say Thursday is because next Saturday is the 4th of July. And obviously, that's a pretty big deal here in the U.S. So Friday, companies will pretty much not be operating because they'll be, uh, closed for the holiday, as it were. That's when they'll be doing it. So yeah. So hopefully by the end of next week, I have a decision on this, and hopefully it's a great decision, the one that I'm hoping to hear. I will be interviewing for a few jobs next week, which is, again, but they're MSPs. My excitement level for them is not super high, but I'm going to go into them with an open mind. I'm going to be very open-minded because you never want to prejudge anything. That's a mistake. So I will do that. And that's basically it. If I get a job soon, man, this awesome series of videos will end, and I'm sure that'll sadden many of you. But when I am done, I do plan on trying to, talk about some topics in depth related to jobs and all that. And hopefully this will be of some value to someone out there in some way. So that's basically it. You guys know what to do. I said whatever I said. Guys, girls, whatever. Humans. Anyway, as always, live long and prosper. Keep on rocking.